Minister, the first thing we need to look at here is food security, and the first people we need to look to is our farmers, our tillage, to make sure we have food security. We have seen people across this country that have put food on our tables are suffering big time at the moment due to the weather. You have introduced a scheme, and I welcome the scheme, but except it doesn't go far enough because, again, it just puts more pressure on people, as you said, that you have to travel 75 kilometres if you want to avail of the scheme. I spoke to a man who's the third generation in his farm last week, and he said he got a phone call from the department earlier on in the week to say that there was a departmental inspection. He said to me that it is exactly what he said to the department. If you're coming out, you better have silage or hay with you. Because he said, if you don't, he said, you could find somebody else, he said, in a worse off position, because he said, I'll be hanging from the rafters. Now, when I hear a person that are at that wit's end because of trying to feed the animals in the farm, I know now that the departments have put off or postponed the inspections. But, Minister, you're not going far enough. In Kilmallock Mart last week, there was straw for sale. It came in from O'Farn. They were glad to have it, but what did you do? You were getting people to pulp straw back into the ground last year and funding them to do it. But now they've to import it. We had Eamon Ryan here last night saying the environment. You've closed down beef factories here. What do you do? It has to be done across the world and then shipped here. Do you not realise that Ireland, if there's a problem in Europe, we're only a small pimple in Europe. If there's a problem, we'll be the first ones to suffer. And what are you doing? You're putting food production out of production to make sure that we won't have food on our tables. He also turned to the farming sector when he said it's about pollution. But in your own studies, you found out now from your EPA that the local government are the biggest polluters in this country. But you fine the farmers and send out departmental inspections when you're not inspecting your own infrastructure. Fianna Fáil made a promise 40 years ago in Askeaton to a councillor who's retiring next month. And you told him he'd have funding for the sewerage system in Askeaton. 40 years ago, Fianna Fáil promised him funding. And now there's raw storage going into the Shannon. You done the same for Drumculloch 15 years ago. Hospital, Ula. I can keep naming all across Limerick where you made promises for infrastructure for people to survive. You have taken out no promises. Now you're talking about a rainy day fund. Why don't you use some of the fund and give up some of the promises that you said you were going to do 40 years ago? And you have still sit across there making false promises. The people in Ireland trusted you to protect them. They no longer trust you because they don't believe anything that comes out of your mouth because you don't follow through on anything. That's why Independent Ireland was formed. That's why independents are coming around this country, joining us to make a team to put it together with our fellow independents to make sure that these governments are held to account for the false promises that they have made. That's why they've been put together. And there's councils coming around the country standing up, there's European candidates coming up, and there's TDs coming up to make sure that Ireland's true voice will be heard and that the real promises will be carried out that you have failed for 40 years. Thank you.